Backrooms is a passion project directed by Kane Parsons and an adaptation of one of the internet's most recognizable horror concepts. Built around the idea of stumbling across a doorway to an endless maze of strange rooms, the film follows Clark, a struggling furniture store owner who discovers an entrance to the mysterious backrooms hidden beneath his business. While the film certainly contains creepy imagery and unsettling ideas, it ultimately doesn't have enough going for it to elevate it into something truly memorable. To be frank, I once heard someone describe this film as a movie about confused people exploring empty rooms so they can become more confused. And after watching it, I can't say that I completely disagree. For context, I went into this film largely blind. Beyond the trailers, all I knew was that it appeared to be a blend of mystery and horror centered around a reality beyond our own understanding. The setup is intriguing itself. Clark, the central character to this film, is a man who hates the life he has built for himself. He's divorced, struggling with alcoholism, and stuck running a failing furniture store despite having aspirations of becoming an architect. He definitely isn't thriving by any means. When he discovers the entrance to the back rooms, that discovery quickly turns into an obsession. Rather than confronting the problems in his life, Clark becomes consumed with exploring the endless labyrinth beneath his store. In theory, this should create an interesting character study about escapism, but unfortunately, the film struggles to properly communicate that transformation, nor does it appear to confront anything more substantial. Other than its overall lack of substance, one of the biggest issues I had with Backrooms is in its handling of time. The film does a poor job of establishing how much time has passed or how long Clark has spent exploring the maze below his store. Because of this, certain elements of his character arc feel abrupt. The last time we see Clark before a major time jump, he appears relatively grounded. When we catch up with him later in the film, he has undergone a dramatic personality shift that feels disconnected from what the audience was previously shown. Yes, his character is flawed, but the degree in which he turns is jarring. The problem isn't necessarily that Clark changes. Given the circumstances, a psychological breakdown makes sense. The issue is that the audience isn't allowed to experience enough of that transformation. Instead, we're asked to accept it after the fact, a notion that appears simply for shock value. The film's internal logic also creates problems. Several characters make decisions that seem designed to move the plot forward rather than reflect how real people would behave in those situations. The most notable example involves Clark's therapist. Rather than treating the situation with the level of concern one would expect, she repeatedly places herself in increasingly questionable situations that feel difficult to justify. Moments like these pull the viewer out of the experience and weaken the tension and realism the film is trying to build. Ironically, the film's strongest element is the unrealism and the mystery of the backrooms themselves. The production design is genuinely impressive, the sheer number of environments created for the film is remarkable, and there are countless moments where the visual creativity shines through. We see furniture embedded into floors, rooms that appear physically improbable, hallways leading nowhere specific, and spaces that feel fundamentally wrong. The imagery is often unsettling and occasionally fascinating. In fact, I found myself more interested in how the filmmakers constructed these environments than in the story unfolding within them. A behind-the-scenes documentary exploring the set design and production process would honestly be something I'd be eager to watch. The problem is, though, that the backrooms eventually becomes repetitive. The mystery initially carries the film, but after enough wandering through strange environments, the novelty begins to wear off. New rooms continue to appear, but they rarely add enough substance to justify the time spent exploring them. Eventually, the experience begins to feel more like a chore than a mystery, especially with the characters that we are meant to follow. Thematically, the film appears interested in fixation. Clark becomes fixated on understanding the backrooms, using them as an escape from his failing personal life and responsibilities. Unfortunately, the movie never explores this theme deeply enough to make it particularly impactful. The pieces are there, but they never fully come together. The ending suffers from a similar issue. Much of the film is built around uncovering the mystery of the backrooms, but once explanations begin to emerge, they aren't nearly as satisfying as the early feeling of the mystery itself. The answers fail to provide a satisfying payoff for the amount of time invested in reaching them. And by the time the credits rolled, I wasn't left thinking about the revelations or the resolution of certain character arcs. Instead, I found myself thinking about the concept itself and how much potential it still has. The Backrooms remains a fascinating horror idea, but this adaptation never quite manages to translate the fascination into a consistently engaging feature-length experience. Overall, Backrooms is a film with excellent production design, some genuinely creepy imagery, and what I believe to be still an intriguing central concept. Unfortunately, uneven pacing, questionable character decisions and reveals, and an unsatisfying payoff prevent it from becoming something greater. With that being said, certain horror fans may still find enough here to appreciate, especially those already invested in the mythology of the Backrooms. But for me, the mystery was ultimately more compelling than the story built around it. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know what you liked or disliked about Backrooms in the comments below, and let me know what upcoming films you'd like me to cover next. Until next time, this has been Film Sense with Brian. I'll catch you around on the next video.